we'll move on to the AL Central. We'll start with the Chicago White Sox. I'm going with Andrew Vaughn here.
With Jose Abreu out of the picture now, Vaughn looks to be the guy at first. He had a solid year last year, 17 home runs, 271, 321, 750 slash line. Only 96 strikeouts in 134 games. So this guy does have some pretty solid plate discipline. And I think just letting him get an opportunity to play every day is going to help him. And, for the White Sox, they're kind of expecting him to be the next guy. There was a reason they didn't bring Abreu back. I kind of expect Vaughn to have, this is going to be the year he's going to put it all together. I think he'll hit for power. He'll hit for a decent average. Hopefully he can maintain the strikeouts, keep the strikeouts down on a low. He doesn't walk a ton. He only had 31 walks last year. So if he can put all the pieces together, he could even be in MVP talks down the stretch.
Yeah, that's a solid pick. For White Sox, first I got Liam Hendriks because some things are bigger than baseball. Hopefully everything with his treatment goes well, and maybe we'll see him back sooner than later. Thoughts and prayers are with him and his family, of course. But moving on to my player pick for White Sox is Luis Robert. And I just want to see a fully healthy season from him because he does so many things well. I want to see greatness. It seems like as soon as he starts to get on that roll where he's on fire, then he gets hurt, pulls a hammy or something and misses a month or something. And I just want to see the full season version of Luis Robert. Hopefully we get it this year and he'll be in MVP talks. Maybe we'll see.
100%. Going to the Minnesota Twins, my pick is Joey Gallo. We kind of talked about it with the shift ban. Unfortunately, he's an all-or-nothing guy, literally. I think he actually has more home runs in his career than he does singles, which says a lot. He only hit 160 between the Dodgers and Yankees last season, 163 strikeouts, 56 walks. For being an all-or-nothing guy, he actually does walk. That's something that kind of gets missed in his game. But I think with the shift limitations being more strictly enforced this year, I think Gallo can raise his batting average maybe 100 points. We could see it close to what it was in 2019 when he was an all-star. And I think he's going to make Target Field look pretty tiny. I know that's a quirky ballpark for hitters, but he's gonna make people ooh and ah in that park, especially with how much they just hit home runs. It seems like as that whole lineup. I'm just expecting big things from Gallo. I think he's going to really turn it around now with the shift limitations in place.
Yeah, he's kind of he's like the premier player as far as shift limitations that people are going to be watching. I feel like everyone's been talking about him for years, ever since they started discussing shift limitations. It's Joey Gallo is going to be so much better. So we finally get to see. I am excited about that. My pick for the Twins is Simeon Woods Richardson, because if he comes into the rotation this year and if he's on fire, if he's just killing it, they're going to actually have a good chance in that division. I think did you pick them to win the division, or
you picked them second.
Second, okay. Well, yeah, I think that they could be in contention for the division if. Obviously, it's not solely on him, but. He definitely will give them a big foot up if he can perform in the rotation.
I 100% agree with that. It's either going to be the White Sox or Twins. I think It's just going to be a dogfight all year.
Yeah, we'll see. Guardians, I think, have something to say about that.
Yeah, as long as Terry Francona's at the helm, they definitely have a chance. Speaking of the Guardians, I'm actually picking Bo Naylor here. Naylor, he kind of had a little bit of a down year as far as hitting goes. He only hit 263 last season in the minors. 21 home runs, though, still very respectable. Here's the thing that kind of gets me, though, is for a catcher, he can run. He had 20 stolen bases in 24 attempts last year. He also walks. He had 121 strikeouts, but 82 walks. That's also really big for a catcher. His brother, Josh, is also on the team, so seeing the Naylor brothers play together this year should be fun. There's no reason that Bo can't make the team. He might even make it out of opening day or out of spring training, I should say. But he's the guy that I'm really looking at because I think he's going to boost that Guardians lineup even more so he's healthy and he does similar things that he did in the minors last year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I love getting to see brothers play together too. I think that that's always fun to see. But anyway, my pick for Guardians, I have George Valera. I don't know that he'll make opening day, but we should see him at some point this year. And he's very intriguing. He's power hitting outfielder, 816 OPS in AAA, 24 homers. I mean, he's got it. I think I could be wrong. I think strikeouts might be a little bit of an issue for him, which obviously when you get to the big leagues, that just magnifies even greater. So hopefully he gets that under control. I think is he their top prospect? He might be, but I'm expecting to see some things out of him. Hopefully he comes up and brings that power with him. Because, that team won the division last year, and just adding some power to that lineup is just going to make them even better. So that I think if he can perform, I think that they'll be definitely in contention still for that division.
Moving on to the Kansas City Royals, my pick is Kyle Isbell. Personally, I feel bad for him because I think the Royals definitely rushed him, and it doesn't help that they've got another prospect that's going to be competing for the center field job. The Royals do seem committed to Isbell, though, and I think this is his chance to prove it. He's only 25 years old, so it's not like this is his make or break, so say. Although, if he doesn't have at least a decent year with the Royals, it might be the end of his time over there.
He only hit 211 last year, but he only struck out 75 times in over 100 games. Right, he's got some speed to go with it. I think in Isbell's case, he kind of reminds me of Jackie Bradley. He just needs to kind of get through the growing pains, and then everything will start to come together. And I feel like because Isbell is in danger of losing a starting job, this will kind of motivate him to pick it up a little bit. But he's the guy I'm watching. I think he absolutely has potential to be to perform, do good things on this team, and I wouldn't really be that surprised to even see that this year. So he's my pick for Kansas City.
Yeah, that's funny. I picked from their outfield as well. That outfield has to be one of the least experienced, at least major league experience in the big leagues, because I think they only have one guy who has a full season under his belt who's going to be playing in the outfield. And I was looking through that outfield now, like to see who I expected for opening day, and I'm like, this is kind of a tough one because none of these guys have like full season experience. It's just kind of weird. Anyway, I picked Drew Waters because he had a pretty good stint last year. I think he had 803 OPS. And I mean, I'm excited to see the full season version of that. He hit 5 home runs in his short stint there. I don't know if power is really going to be his calling card, but I mean, he showed it in his short time there. The other thing is in 21, he had 28 stolen bases. I'm like wondering if if that power is showing, bring a power speed element to their lineup. So that's always fun to watch because he's one of those guys who's a top prospect and then got traded, and that always kind of changes the way guys are looked at sometimes. But yeah,
so actually, Waters is the guy that Isbell's competing with for the center field.
I know.
But yeah, I know the Royals are really high on Waters though, so it's kind of, whoever the best man is for the job.
And concluding the AL Central with the Detroit Tigers, I actually picked Michael Lorenzen. The Tigers are kind of a team that I don't really know what they're doing. I mean, they're letting the farm play this year, it looks like, but they added Lorenzen to the rotation, which I think is necessary because if they didn't have Lorenzen, they would just have a bunch of young injury-prone arms in that rotation, so it gives them a little bit of durability. Lorenzen he had some injuries last year with the Angels, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. He threw just under 100 innings, 4.24 ERA in 18 starts. I think going to a place like Detroit will help Lorenzen. It's by far the most pitcher-friendly ballpark he's ever pitched in. I think if he's healthy, he may be the best pitcher in that rotation right now. Could even be their ace by the end of the year. It feels like he's poised for a breakout. Like, I think he'll up his value again. It's just one of the few bright spots I could see for the Tigers this year as they kind of go through some growing pains again. So he's my pick. I would be disappointed if he didn't at least improve on his numbers from last year, but I think Detroit's a great spot for him to do that.
Yeah, I'm actually hoping they let him hit because the Angels had talked about that with him, and it never came to fruition. So when I watched him play a lot at Cal State Fullerton, and I thought he was like destined to be an outfielder in the big leagues. I didn't even see him. Like I saw him come in and close for Cal State Fullerton, but I never saw him like in my head as a pitcher. I always saw him as a position player. So when he took the pitching route, I was like, oh, okay, cool. But yeah, I really wanted to see him get to two-way like Shohei does. Anyway, I digress. The Tigers, one interesting thing, we talked about the Naylor brothers. They have the Meadow brothers, Austin Meadows and Parker Meadows. And
That's right.
yeah, Parker's in. He got a big league invite. I think he might even be on the 40-man. I'm not positive on that, but I know he's in camp with Austin. So that's kind of fun to watch. We'll at least see it in spring, and Parker might get the call up at some point during the year. I don't really know where they're standing in that. But anyway, my picks, I actually kind of cheated again, and I picked two, but Spencer Torkelson and Riley Green. If they kind of both need to turn it up a notch to turn that franchise into a winner, because they're two of the top prospects. Torque obviously had some struggles last year. Riley Green had a better year, but he still wasn't hitting like a star, but he still was acceptable to play. He was solid. His what did we have? OPS for Torque, 604 OPS, which is not great for his position. Like they need more out of him. Riley Green was 683 OPS, which combined with his defense is actually, it's not good, but it's acceptable. He earns his spot in the lineup. Hopefully he turns that up a little bit. His defense, both of them are actually great on defense. I don't know that Torque had an error last year. I could be mistaken in that, but I know that Riley Green is like 993 fielding percentage or something, which is solid. And I know he had some web gems that we saw on Sports Center and stuff. So both of them, if they can turn it up at the plate, I think the Tigers actually will surprise some people. I don't know that they're ready to compete for a division yet, but Riley Green and Torque are going to be the building blocks for that. So they're the guys I'll be watching this year.